Mosquitoes. I brought some here so you could experience this. We'll let those roam around the auditorium a little bit. There. There's no reason only poor people should have the experience.
Bill Gates is trying to make the point that only poor countries have to worry about malaria mosquitoes. So he releases some into the audience. Everyone is very, very shocked, and he grabbed everybody's attention by this impactful image. In the next clip, please pay attention to the very first sentence that Bill says and how it gets everybody's attention.
Everyone needs a coach. It doesn't matter whether you're a basketball player, a tennis player, a gymnast, or a bridge player.
He starts his presentation with the statement, everybody needs a coach. And then he gives a few examples of sportsmen, tennis players who obviously need a coach. And then he ends the sentence with his own quite unusual hobby of playing bridge, which is an unusual card game. But the point is the same. He got everybody's attention with his impactful statement. In the next clip, please pay attention to how Bill Gates uses both relaxed and expansive gestures to make his points in a confident way.
And they actually, although it's great they don't require fuel, they have some disadvantages. One is that the density of energy gathered in these technologies is dramatically less than a power plant. This is energy farming. So you're talking about many square miles, thousands of times more area than you think of as a normal energy plant.
Did you notice how he starts making his point by putting his hand in his pocket? Usually this is not something that is encouraged for a public speaker, but when Bill Gates does it, it lets everyone know that he's very relaxed and very confident. And then he moves on to talking about large-scale numbers, and you can see that he spreads his hands very wide to make his points. In the next clip, pay attention to how Bill Gates uses speed and tone and changes these two things to emphasize special words.
And these people have one of the most important jobs in the world. I'm talking about teachers. When Melinda and I learned how little useful feedback most teachers get, we were blown away. Until recently, over 98% of teachers just got one word of feedback: satisfactory.
Here he's talking about how surprised he is by how little useful feedback most teachers get. By emphasizing the word little, Gates shows us that teachers don't get much feedback. There's two adjectives here, little and useful. If he emphasized the word useful, then he would be implying that teachers get some feedback, but not much of it is useful. But here he wants to talk about a lack of feedback. He also uses pauses very well in this clip. And please pay attention to his use of pauses to create emphasis in the next clip.
Let's start by asking, who's doing well? Well, unfortunately, there's no international ranking tables for teacher feedback systems. So I looked at the countries whose students perform well academically and looked at what they're doing to help their teachers improve. Consider the rankings for reading proficiency. The U.S. isn't number one. We're not even in the top 10.
A lot of speakers have trouble with pausing. Maybe they're nervous, so they try to rush their presentation. But Bill Gates knows that if he pauses after his question, who's doing well, then everyone will be waiting for the answer and he has control of the audience. Our last point talks about how Bill Gates uses PowerPoint very well to get his message across. He and Microsoft invented PowerPoint, so of course he knows how to use it well. A lot of people try to put a lot of text for people to read while they're presenting something, but Bill Gates uses very simple images and colors. In this case, he's using a world map to show the spread of malaria, and this is very effective in getting his message across.
Which is where all the rich countries are. So we can see 1900, it's everywhere. 1945, it's still most places. 1970, the US and most of Europe have gotten rid of it. 1990, you've gotten most of the northern areas. And then more recently, you can see it's just around the equator. And so this leads to the paradox that because the disease is only in the poor countries, it doesn't get much investment.